Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the United States Army Officer Candidate School Hall of Fame Class of 2024 Induction Ceremony. The ceremony will begin in a moment. At this time, please silence all electronic devices. Please rise for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the playing of the national anthem and the invocation.
Before I invite you to pray with me, on the way over here today, I heard that the Israelis and Hamas have agreed to peace terms. So I'm so thankful for that. I invite you to pray in your faith tradition as I pray in mine. Almighty God, supreme architect of our destiny, creator of all that is, that was, and will be, I invite you here today to this special ceremony. May your presence among us warm our hearts, strengthen our fears, and let us have hope for the future. I give thanks for those who will be made members of our Hall of Fame. Thank you for their service to our nation, to our Army, and to our most valuable asset, our sons and daughters. May they go forth from this place with their head held high for the job done and done well. For those who could not be here today, we give thanks for their service and sacrifice as well. I ask you to be with our Commander-in-Chief and all those in authority. Grant them your wisdom, your strength, and your courage for a time such as this. And may in all things we do, we give honor and glory to you. In your most holy and precious name I pray. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the United States Army Officer Candidate School Hall of Fame Induction Ceremony for the Class of 2024. Please join me in welcoming Colonel Frank Harmon, the President and CEO of the U.S. Army OCS Alumni Association, and the Honorary Colonel of the 11th Infantry Regiment and a 2004 member of the OCS Hall of Fame.
Unfortunately, I got to reach in there and get my glasses. On behalf of the U.S. Army OCS Alumni Association and all members of the OCS Hall of Fame, I welcome you all here for the OCS Hall of Fame induction ceremony. The OCS Hall of Fame was established in 1958 to honor graduates who had distinguished themselves during World War II through valorous combat leadership and subsequent meritorious service. The first honoree was Medal of Honor recipient Lieutenant Thomas Weigel. The Hall of Fame building is named in his honor. Members of the OCS Hall of Fame are honored for the following. First, Superior Valorous Combat Leadership, which includes recipients of the Medal of Honor and the Distinguished Service Cross. Second, Superior Meritorious Service, which includes successful battalion and brigade commanders, division chiefs of staff, staff directors in Army Corps, numbered armies, or joint task forces, program managers, defense attachés, division chiefs and project managers in combatant commands, major Army commands, the Army staff, the Joint Staff, or the Department of Defense, from which their service was recognized as superior and meritorious, and they were awarded the Legion of Merit or the Defense Superior Service Medal, and have served in the rank of full colonel or above. Next, Distinguished Public Service, which includes members of Congress, governors of a state, cabinet secretaries, U.S. ambassadors, mayors of large cities, federal judges, and also Superior Public Service, which includes high-ranking career civil servants, GS-15s and SESs, high-ranking state officials, members of state legislatures, mayors, sheriffs, police chiefs, city managers, and CEOs of philanthropies. And finally, lifelong service, which includes individuals who have a life of service to the nation and to their community, which starts with valorous combat leadership and/or meritorious service, and then continued with outstanding public service through volunteerism, especially in support of military service members and their families, as well as military veterans. Most graduates of the Officer Candidate School view OCS as their subsequent military assignment as the foundation of their personal success and the experience from which they drew the confidence and courage to succeed in spite of adversity. Our honorees today have more than succeeded, they have excelled, and they have significant accomplishments in service to the nation. New members of the Hall of Fame, you are honored in front of your family and friends, and we at the U.S. Army OCS Alumni Association are proud to support this ceremony and all the surrounding activities in your honor. I challenge you to help remember those members of the OCS Hall of Fame that came before you and help support those who will be honored in the future. Once again, congratulations. Army strong, soldier for life, always keep serving.
Now, I would like to call on Colonel Miles, the Brigade Commander, for his remarks.
How's everybody doing out there? Got a big audience, a lot of people out here. So I know you've been doing a lot of great stuff over this weekend, and this is kind of the culminating event and going into this evening, but this is a tremendous opportunity. So distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, friends and families of 3rd Battalion, 11th Infantry Regiment, on behalf of the Commanding General, Major General Curtis Buzzard, welcome to today's ceremony and historic OCS Hall of Fame induction ceremony. Today I have the honor and privilege to welcome 33 inductees into the Hall of Fame rolls. Today's inductees represent all three composition of forces to include active duty, reserve, and National Guard. The inductees today span across all ranks to include majors, lieutenant colonels, colonels, brigadier generals, and major generals. Several of our inductees today are continuing their service to our nation in uniform. And while their service, some have gone on to support the Department of Defense outside of uniform. Several of our inductees have served our nation and have made the ultimate sacrifice to help keep America free. Those inductees today are represented by their families and fellow soldiers and will accept this Hall of Fame recognition on their behalf. While we pause today to recognize the heroism, valorous combat leadership, and superior meritorious service, we understand the legacy we are so fortunate to be a part of. In serving that legacy, the Officer Candidate School continues to push America's best sons and daughters through the paces while attending training here at Fort Moore, Georgia. The training is tough, realistic, and undoubtedly life-changing for most. I'm sure if you talk to Colonel Garvin, it is life-changing for all. As we recognize today's inductees, we rest comfortably knowing that we have and will continue to get it right. There are officers commissioning today in our program that will go on to achieve great success as today's inductees have. The potential of this current generation is endless, and they understand that they stand on the shoulders of the giants we're recognizing here today. Today, we will recognize those giants and ensure today's generation continues to train today for tomorrow's fight. For the past 83 years, and for all the years to come, your legacy as recognized here today will live on in our future leaders. We owe them the importance of history, the importance of training, and most importantly, the importance of adhering to the standards without compromise. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for attending today's historic ceremony. And after further ado, we'll get on with this. And may God bless, as you heard, our soldiers continuing and our partners and allies continuing to fight. God bless our soldiers, both young and old. God bless America. One force, one fight. Standards, no compromise.
The Officer Candidate School Hall of Fame was established in 1958 to recognize distinguished graduates of OCS. The Hall of Fame building, Waggle Hall, was named after Second Lieutenant Thomas W. Waggle, the first OCS graduate to receive the Medal of Honor. Currently, there are over 2,600 members of the OCS Hall of Fame. Today, we will induct 33 more members. Each inductee will receive an OCS Hall of Fame induction certificate and an OCS Coin for Excellence. We will first acknowledge inductees that are not present. Brigadier General Jason Slider. Brigadier General Jason Slider was commissioned as an armor officer upon graduation from OCS in April 1992. His notable duty assignments include commander for the 1st Security Force Assistance Team in Coast Afghanistan, commander of the 95th Civil Affairs Brigade, 1st Special Forces Command, U.S. Army Training and Doctrine Command, and director of the Mission Command Center of Excellence. U.S. Army Combined Arms Center, his currently duty assignments included deputy commanding for the General of the 3rd Division in France. His military education consists of Armor Basic and Advanced courses, United States Army Command and General Staff College, and the Air War College. His highest military awards include the Defense Superior Service Medal, Legion of Merit with 3 Oak Leaf Clusters, and the Bronze Star Medal with 1 Oak Leaf Cluster. Colonel John F. Nolden, Jr. Colonel Nolden, Jr. was commissioned as an infantry officer upon graduation from OCS on 28 September 1993. His early assignments included a role as a platoon leader and executive officer in the 101st Airborne Division. Colonel Nolden had a diverse operational and command background, including leadership positions in the 25th Infantry Division and Special Forces Command, Chief for Force Management Divisions, U.S. Forces Afghanistan and Bagram, and Chief of Force Programs Divisions in Pentagon. He served as the Force Design Director of the U.S. Army Combined Arms Center in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. His military decorations include Legion of Merit Award, Bronze Star Medal, Humanitarian Service Medal, NATO Medal, National Defense Service Medal, Ranger Tab, Expert Infantryman Badge. Colonel Robert K. Pittman. Colonel Robert Pittman was commissioned from OCS into military intelligence. He served in various intelligence units and flew aerial intelligence airplanes along sensitive borders of Korea, Germany, and Honduras. Notably, he served in the Project Officer for Air Reconnaissance Low for Commander-in-Chief, Allied Forces Southern Europe. His last duty assignment was on the Intelligence and Security Command Forces Modernization Officer, where he accelerated the implementation of the Army Program of Record Systems to INSCOM units. After retiring from military service, he continued his service as a senior systems engineer for INSCOM. His military education includes completion for flight school for both fixed and rotary wing aircraft, U.S. Army Aviation Safety Course, Defense Acquisition College Program Management Course, and the Armed Forces Staff College, Army Forces Staff College. His highest military awards include the Legion of Merit, Meritorious Service Medal, Joint Meritorious Unit Award, and the Master Army Aviation Band. He's also the recipient of the Civil Award for the Honorable Order of the St. Michael for Aviation Service and the Knowlton Award for the Intelligence Service. Colonel Gina Richards McCloskey. Colonel McCloskey enlisted in the Army in 1983. rising to the ranks of Sergeant First Class before attending OCS in 1998, where she was commissioned into the Military Police Corps. Her notable duty assignments include commanding of the 10th Military Police Battalion at Fort Bragg, serving as the Chief of Anti-Terrorism for 32 countries in Latin America and the Caribbean, and holding positions such as the Deputy G3 at the United States CID Command, Army Command and General Staff College, and the U.S. Army War College. Her academic accomplishments include earning a Master's of Science in Strategic Studies from the United States Army War College and a PhD in Organizational Leadership from the University of Phoenix. Her highest military awards include the Legion of Merit, Bronze Star Medal, and the Defense Meritorious Service Medal. Lieutenant Colonel Thomas W. Bamford. Lieutenant Colonel Bamford started his career in 1984 as a field artillery cannon crewman before transitioning to Rotary Wing Flight School. He was commissioned as an aviation officer upon graduation from OCS. Lieutenant Colonel Bamford's notable assignments included being an aviation advisor for the Royal Saudi Air Corps and the Afghan Army Aviation Corps. He was the Chief of Operations Nights and the officer in charge for the forward liaison element for potential non-combatant evacuation operation in the Democratic Republic of the Congo in Africa. He also served as the executive officer to the G357s at U.S. Army Africa and as the battalion commander for the 2nd Battalion, 210th Aviation, and deputy brigade commander for the 128th Aviation Brigade. His military education includes Warrant Officer Candidate School, Army Aviation Flight School, and Aerosol School. His notable military awards and badges include the Legion of Merit, Bronze Star, Defense Meritorious Service Medal, Meritorious Service Medal with 4 Oak Leaf Clusters, and Army Commendation Medal with 3 Oak Leaf Clusters. Major James Bennett Conway. Major Conway was commissioned as an infantry officer upon graduation from Infantry OCS Class 257 on March 12, 1957. He served with Detachment A253, Bravo Company, 5th Special Forces Group, as a senior Special Forces advisor. On April 12, 1966, while advising a reconnaissance patrol in the La Drang Valley, Major Conway led friendly forces in an assault against a well-positioned insurgent force. Despite their numerical and positional advantage, he courageously engaged in a fortified insurgent machine gun position in close range with grenades and small arms fire, continually exposing himself to heavy Viet Cong fires to ensure the success of the assault. Despite being mortally wounded during the final stages of the friendly evasive action, Major Conway's extraordinary heroism and supreme sacrifice were in keeping with the highest military traditions of the United States Army. He was listed as a missing in action and presumed dead, and his remains have never been recovered. For his extraordinary heroism, Major Conway was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, Purple Heart, National Defense Service Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, Vietnam Camping Ribbon, and Combat Infantryman Badge. Major Peter Stanley Knight. Major Knight was commissioned as an infantry officer upon graduation from Infantry OCS Class 158 on March 5, 1958. At the time of his death, he was serving with the company commander of Alpha Company, 1st Battalion, 16th Infantry, 1st Infantry Division. On August 25, 1966, during a combat mission near Binh Dong Province, Major Knight's company was directed to assault a fortified base camp on an established Viet Cong battalion. Despite intense Viet Cong fire and numerous casualties suffered by the platoon on his right flank, Major Knight fearlessly led his reinforcement unit in a renewed assault against the enemy stronghold. Rallying a small group of men, he personally attacked the Viet Cong emplacement, inspiring the remaining elements of his company to push forward as a final determined drive to rout the enemy. Major Knight continued to lead until he was mortally wounded by the Viet Cong fire. His extraordinary heroism and devotion to duty displayed at the cost of his life, and were in keeping with the highest traditions of the military service. For his action, Major Knight was posthumously awarded the Distinguished Service Cross, along with a Purple Heart, National Defense Service Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, Vietnam Camping Ribbon, and Combat Infantryman Badge. First Lieutenant Douglas M. Falk. First Lieutenant Falk was commissioned an infantry officer upon graduation from Infantry OCS on 21 September 1967. While leading a platoon of Alpha Company, 1st Battalion, 20th Infantry, and 11th Infantry Brigade during a combat mission in 16 May 1968, Lieutenant Falk distinguished himself by exceptionally valorous actions on his voluntarily led a 6-man patrol on probe an enemy mortar position. He advanced alone to reconnoiter the hostile position and silenced the enemy in 2 bunkers while moving through point-blank machine gun fire. He then maneuvered his team to silence 2 more hostile positions, which allowed his company to attack the enemy's outer defensive perimeter. Lieutenant Falk's extraordinary heroism and devotion to duty were in keeping with the highest traditions of the military. Lieutenant Falk's military awards and decorations included Distinguished Service Cross, Purple Heart, Bronze Star Medal with an Oak Leaf Cluster, Good Conduct Medal, National Defense Service Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, Vietnam Campaign Ribbon, and Combat Infantryman Badge. All right. The OCS Hall of Fame Class of 2020 inductees present are Major Billy Murkison Jr. On June 19, 1967, On June 19, 1967, while serving with Detachment A223, Bravo Company, 5th Special Forces Group, 2nd Lieutenant Billy Murkison Jr. demonstrated extraordinary valor during a search and destroy mission in Binh Dinh Province, Republic of Vietnam. When his unit came under heavy machine gun fire and mortar fire with 2 NVA battalions, 2nd Lieutenant Murkison fearlessly exposed himself to intense enemy fire. He moved along his lines, shouting encouragement, rallying his troops, and personally engaging the enemy with machine guns, mortars and grenade launchers to repel the attackers. Despite the overwhelming odds, 2nd Lieutenant Murkison led an encouragement and courageous attack through the encirclement of the enemy. Upon learning that a fellow advisor was wounded, 2nd Lieutenant Murkison navigated through 250 meters of enemy-infested jungle to locate the wounded sergeant. Despite facing intense enemy fire, he successfully carried his comrade to safety to the evacuation area. He then directed effective airstrikes on enemy positions and provided first aid to his wounded men while coordinating for a med evac. For extraordinary courage and sacrifice, he was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross. Major General John D. Haas. Major General Haas enlisted in the Army in 1982, graduating from BIOCC on 24 August 1990, Class 590. He completed 3 combat tours, receiving Combat Infantryman Badge with Star, Bronze Star with 1 Oak Leaf Cluster, and a Purple Heart. He held command at the company, squadron, and brigade level. He previously served as the Assistant Adjutant General Army with the responsibility for over 10,000 soldiers in the Florida Army National Guard. He currently serves as the Adjutant General for the Florida National Guard and was appointed by the Governor of Florida to manage operations for the readiness of the Florida National Guard. Among his decorations, Major General Haas was awarded the Legion of Merit, Meritorious Service Medal with 4 Oak Leaf Clusters, and the Joint Service Commendation Medal. Brigadier General Jerry Lynn Neff. Brigadier General Neff was commissioned on June 28, 1964 as an artillery officer upon graduation from Florida Army National Guard, OCS. His most notable military assignments include finding housing for the 125,000 Cuban immigrants that reached Florida during the 1980 Mario boat lift from Cuba. Brigadier General Neff commanded 2 field artillery battalions, 2 brigades, and a field artillery brigade and an air defense artillery brigade. He also commanded Camp Landing for 3.5 years. one of the most active National Guard camps in the United States. He was promoted to Brigadier General for the Florida National Guard on November 5, 1997, and served as the Deputy Commanding General for the 32 Army Air and Missile Defense Command. His highest military service awards include the Legion of Merit and 2 awards for the Florida Cross awarded by the Governor of Florida. Brigadier General Thomas A. Sharp. Brigadier General Thomas A. Sharp was commissioned on May 9, 1952 as an infantry officer upon graduation from Infantry OCS Class 1352. His most notable military assignments include serving during the U.S. Army occupation of Japan and being a rifle platoon leader in the 25th ID during the Korean War. Brigadier General Sharp joined the 55th Infantry Brigade, Pennsylvania National Guard, headquartered in Scranton. He served as a company commander, staff officer, battalion commander, brigade executive officer, and finally, brigade commander. Brigadier General Sharp was promoted to Brigadier General on December 17, 1979. His highest military service awards include the Legion of Merit, Pennsylvania Distinguished Service Medal, Pennsylvania Meritorious Service Medal, the Combat Infantryman Badge, and Korea Service Medal with 2 stars. And on behalf of him, his sons Tom and David will be accepting the award. Brigadier General Sally F. Petty. Brigadier General Petty was commissioned as a logistics officer from OCS on August 21, 1992. Brigadier General Petty's notable assignments include commanding roles in various units and divisions, such as the 662nd Field Service Company and the 786th Combat Sustainment Support Battalion in the Virgin Islands Army National Guard. She has served in various operation capacities, including as the operations officer in Iraq and Cuba, and as a Joint Task Force commander during the Hurricane Irma and Maria and the COVID-19 pandemic. Her military education includes completion of various courses such as the Quartermaster Officer Basic and Advanced courses, Command and Staff Officer course, and the Air War College. She also completed civilian executive education programs and the Harvard Kennedy School of Government. Brigadier General Petty's highest military awards include the Legion of Merit, Bronze Star Medal, and the Joint Service Commendation Medal. Colonel Bruce David Brantz. Colonel Brantz was commissioned as an infantry officer upon graduation from OCS Class 6667 on 16 November 1967. His most notable assignments include being a 3rd Platoon leader for Bravo Company, 2nd Battalion, 7th Cavalry in Vietnam, where he was recognized with the Bronze Star Valor for his valor by leading his men with disregard to his own safety in a firefight with the NBA. Colonel Brantz then held a residency assignment with the Army Command and General Staff College. He became the executive officer of the 48th Medical Battalion, the commander of the 48th Combat Support Hospital, and then worked in the Clinical Support Division for the Health Services Command. He was the executive officer for the Gorgas Army Hospital in Panama during the Operation Just Cause and finished his career as the Deputy Chief of Staff for Operations and the Health Services Command. His highest military awards include the Legion of Merit with 1 Oak Leaf Cluster, Bronze Star Medal with V Device, Purple Heart, and Meritorious Service Medal with 3 Oak Leaf Clusters. On his behalf, his daughter, Beth Jenkins, will be accepting the award. Colonel John A. Cox. Colonel Cox was commissioned as a Signal Corps officer upon graduation from OCS Class 384 on June 1, 1984. His notable duty assignments include commanding of the United States Army Information Systems Engineering Command and the 5th Signal Command in Germany. His final assignment was at Fort Sam Houston in Texas, where he served as the G6 Chief Information Officer and the Interim Chief of Staff for the United States Army North. Colonel Cox's military education includes graduation from the United States Army Command and General Staff College, Venezuelan Armed Forces of Cooperation Command, and the U.S. Army War College. His significant awards include the Legion of Merit, Bronze Star Medal, Defense Meritorious Service Medal. Colonel Francis A. Daniels. Colonel Daniels was commissioned as an armor officer upon graduation from Infantry OCS on October 4th, 1972. His notable assignments include roles as the S3 for the 157th Support Battalion, commander of the 157th Support Battalion, and the theater commander of the Defense Contingency Support Team. After retiring from the Army Reserve, he was recalled to active duty 4 times, with significant roles including the Chief of Staff for the Medical Evaluation Board and Physical Evaluation Board Task Force at the Office of the G1 at the Pentagon. His military education includes completion of various courses, including the United States Army Command and General Staff College and the United States Army War College. His highest military awards include the Legion of Merit with 1 Oak Leaf Fluster, Defense Meritorious Service Medal, and Meritorious Service Medal with 2 Oak Leaf Flusters, and the Army Staff Badge. Colonel George Hooker. Colonel Hooker was commissioned as an infantry officer from OCS on June 24, 1959, and served with distinction over 35 years. His notable assignments include 82nd Medical Detachment in 1966, where he accumulated 1,365 hours of combat flight time, earning 5 Distinguished Flying Crosses and 37 Air Medals. He later commanded the 179th Assault Support Helicopter Company in Vietnam, demonstrating exceptional leadership and bravery. His subsequent assignments include roles such as the platoon leader in Vietnam, civil affairs officer, and the various positions within the Georgia Army National Guard. His highest military awards include the Defense Department Meritorious Service Medal, Legion of Merit, 6 Distinguished Flying Crosses, 3 Bronze Stars, and numerous other commendations for valor and service. Colonel Michael D. Hughes. Colonel Hughes was commissioned as an infantry officer from OCS in August 1977. His notable assignments include commanding various units such as the 3rd Battalion, 322nd Regiment, 78th Division, and serving as the Assistant Division Commander for the support for both the 84th and the 100th Division. He also held key roles such as the Deputy Commander for the 84th Training Command and Chief of Staff for the Army Material Command in Southwest Asia. In his final assignment, he served as the Deputy Commander for the 408th Contracting Support Brigade in Kuwait. His military education includes completion of Drill Sergeant School, United States Army Command and General Staff College, and the Army War College. His highest military awards include the Legion of Merit, Bronze Star Medal, and the multiple awards of the Meritorious Service Medal. Colonel Frederick Dayton Jones. Colonel Jones was commissioned as an infantry officer from OCS on June 21, 1966. His notable duty assignments included serving in various capacities within the Special Forces community, including Recon Company Commander and Assistant S2 in Vietnam, and commanding Operation Detachment Alpha units in California and New York. He also held positions such as the G3 in Philadelphia, commander of the Civil Affairs Battalion in Pennsylvania, and Assistant Chief of Staff in Sarajevo, Bosnia, and Herzegovina. Following retirement from the military in 2007, Colonel Jones continued to serve in civilian roles, including as Chief of Staff for Special Operations Command in Africa until his retirement from government service in May 2015. He was also the commander of the 304th Civil Affairs Brigade. His military awards include Defense Superior Service Medal, Legion of Merit, Bronze Star with V Device, Purple Heart, and numerous other commendations for his service and valor. Colonel Larry R. Jordan Jr. Colonel Jordan Jr. was commissioned as an armor officer from OCS on August 7, 1997. His notable duty assignments include serving as a troop commander and battalion executive officer with the 3rd Stryker Brigade, 2nd Infantry Division in Iraq, and as a squadron executive officer in the 82nd Airborne Division in Afghanistan. He later transitioned to the Cyber Branch, serving in various roles including electronic warfare officer, in the 25th Infantry Division and the Chief of Cyber Electronic Warfare in the U.S. Army Central and the U.S. Army Pacific. Colonel Jordan's military education includes completion of the Cavalry Leadership Course, Joint Firepower Course, Electronic Warfare Officer Course, Army Space Cadre Course, and Army Command and General Staff College. His highest military awards include the Bronze Star Medal with V Device, Purple Heart Medal, and the multiple awards for Army Meritorious Service Medals and Army Commendation Medals for his combat service. Colonel Kirk M. Knight. Colonel Knight was commissioned as an infantry officer from OCS on November 5, 1969. He served 3 combat tours in Vietnam, transitioning from fixed-wing to rotary-wing aircraft during his service. His subsequent assignments were primarily in special operations, including combat operations in Somalia and as a liaison officer during the Battle of the Black Sea. He also commanded the U.S. Army parachute team, the Golden Knights, and held key positions at Fort Rucker and the Joint Special Force Operations Command. Colonel Knight's military education includes completion of the various courses such as Airborne, Ranger, and Command and General Staff College. After retirement from active duty, he continued to serve as a civilian with U.S. Special Operations Command in Tampa, Florida. His military decorations include Legion of Merit, Bronze Star Medal, and numerous other commendation medals, including the Combat Infantryman Badge and Master Parachutist Badge. On behalf of him, Colonel Cochran is going to be accepting the award. Colonel Jeffrey K. Ludwig. Colonel Ludwig was commissioned as a field artillery officer from OCS on April 27, 1984. Throughout his distinguished military career, Colonel Ludwig held various command and staff positions, including Supply Company Commander at Fort Carson, Logistics Combat Developer at Fort Lee, and Brigade S3 at Fort Lee. He also served as the Theater Logistics Officer at U.S. Special Operations Command and the Garrison Commander for Hialeah. Furthering his expertise, Colonel Ludwig attended numerous military schools, including the Quartermaster Advanced Course and the U.S. Army War College. His commitment to the military logistics culminated in roles such as the Deputy Commander of the 19th Expeditionary Sustainment Command in Korea and Logistics Plans J3, J5 at Joint Forces Command in Fort Norfolk. His military decorations include the Defense Superior Service Medal, Legion of Merit, an Army Commendation Medal, and the Army Achievement Medal. Colonel Daphne Pruitt. Colonel Pruitt was commissioned as an engineer officer from OCS on January 27, 1994. Her notable assignments include leadership roles in the various units and division, such as the 12th Battalion Army Reserve Couriers Division and the HQDA for G4. Her final assignment was the Director for the Audit and Financial Management Systems, Office of the Chief, Army Reserve. Her military education includes completion of the Engineering Officer Basic and Advanced courses, Combined Arms and Services Staff School, Intermediate Level Education, Advanced Operation Warfighter Course, the Reserve Component National Security Course, and the U.S. Army War College. Her highest military awards include the Legion of Merit Medal, Bronze Star Medal, Meritorious Service Medal, with 8 Oak League Clusters, Combat Action Badge, and the Army Staff Identification Badge. Colonel Harold Hope III. Colonel Harold Hope Roberts III was commissioned on August 16, 1974, from OCS as a field artillery officer. Throughout his career, Colonel Roberts III held several significant positions, including Commander S4 for SVC Battery for the 115th Field Artillery Battalion, Senior Tactical Officer at the Tennessee Military Academy, Squadron Commander for the 278th Armored Cavalry Regiment, and the Chief of the 230 Army Liaison Team, serving as the U.S. Army Liaison Officer to the International Security Assistance Force in Kabul, Afghanistan. His military decorations include the Legion of Merit, Bronze Star, NATO Medal, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, Global War on Terror Expeditionary Medal. He is also a member of the American Legion, Veterans of Foreign Affairs, the Military Officers Association of America, and a founding sponsor of the National Museum of the United States Army. Colonel Martin Schultz. Colonel Martin Schultz was commissioned from OCS in 1987. Colonel Schultz's notable duty assignments include commanding roles in various units and divisions such as the BPSC-22, 10th Mountain Division in Haiti, and the 12th and the 100th Battalion in Ohio. His last duty assignments was at the G357 Deputy Chief of Staff for Operations, Planning, and Training for the 80th Training Command in Richmond, Virginia. His military education includes completion of various courses such as the Armor Officer Basic Course, PSYOP Officer Course, Civil Affairs Advanced Course, Command and General Staff College, Joint Forces Staff College, and the U.S. Army War College. Colonel Schultz has been recognized for his outstanding leadership, including being named the Reserve Officer Association Sturm Thurmond Junior Officer of the Year and receiving the U.S. Army General MacArthur Leadership Award. His highest military awards include the Legion of Merit, Meritorious Service Medal, Joint Commendation Medal, and the Army Commendation Medal, among others. Colonel Kenneth J. Simmerdak. Colonel Simmerdak began his career with the 682nd Engineer Battalion. He served in various leadership roles, including Company Commander, Battalion S4, Battalion S3, Executive Officer, and the Battalion Commander. His leadership significantly contributed to the readiness of the battalion. Colonel Simmerdak served as the Assistant Chief of Staff for G5, G2, and G3 for the 34th Infantry Division. His leadership was crucial in developing outstanding G2 and G3 sections and facilitating the division's successful warfighter exercise in August 1997. He served as Training Division Branch Chief, where he played a key role in developing training guidance and participating in training briefings at brigade and division level. Colonel Simmerdak's distinguished performance reflects great credit upon himself, the Minnesota Army National Guard, and the United States Army. Colonel Robert M. Williams. Colonel Williams was commissioned as a military intelligence officer from OCS on September 19, 1996. Colonel Williams' notable duty assignments include serving as a project manager for various programs such as the Afghan Personnel and Pay System in Afghanistan and the Logistics Modernization Program at Fort Belvoir, Virginia. His last duty assignments was as a project manager for the Integrated Personnel and Pay Systems at Fort Belvoir, Virginia. His also military education includes completion of various courses, such as the Military Intelligence Officer Basic and Advanced courses, Command and General Staff College, and the Eisenhower School for the National Security and Resource Strategy. Colonel Williams' highest military awards include the Legion of Merit, Defense Meritorious Service Medal, Afghanistan Campaign Medal, Iraq Campaign Medal, and the Army Staff Identification Badge. Lieutenant Colonel William G. Grieve. Lieutenant Colonel Grieve was commissioned as an infantry officer upon graduation from OCS on November 20, 1967. His military journey began as a training officer at Company Echo, 1st Battalion, 2nd Basic Combat Training Brigade at Fort Lewis, Washington. His notable assignments include his role as a combat platoon leader in Vietnam with Charlie Company, 2nd Battalion, 8th Infantry, 4th Infantry Division. Additionally, he served as a public affairs officer at Fort Gillem, Georgia, during Desert Storm. His military education includes Infantry OCS, Basic Infantry Officer Advanced courses, United States Army Command and General Staff College, PAO course, Defense Information School, and National Defense University National Security Management course. His highest military awards include the Bronze Star, Combat Infantry Badge, Meritorious Service Medal, Vietnam Service Medal, Presidential Unit Citation, and Army Achievement Medal with 1 Oak Leaf Cluster. Lieutenant Colonel Michael C. Grimm. Lieutenant Colonel Grimm was commissioned as an infantry officer upon graduation from Infantry OCS Class 2767 on March 27, 1967. His remarkable bravery and leadership were evident during a company-level air assault near May Thaw, Vietnam, on March 8, 1968. When his platoon and the command group were left alone in the clearing due to multiple helicopters being unable to land, they faced intense enemy fire. Despite being wounded along with several other troops, Lieutenant Grimm courageously eliminated enemy positions, enabling his men to maneuver to safer locations. Despite his injuries, he bravely exposed himself to enemy fire to extract casualties and direct artillery to support his unit's movement. During the night, he led a group to secure the wounded and later led another group to retrieve the essential equipment from the downed helicopter before the enemy could seize it. For his action, Lieutenant Colonel Grimm was awarded the Distinguished Service Cross. Lieutenant Colonel Grimm continued his service as a charter member of the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment, where he tragically lost his life on October 7, 2004, while leading a flight of 22 helicopters in a low-level night training exercise. His legacy of valor and sacrifice endures as an inspiration to all who served with him. On behalf of him, Deputy Commander of the 160th, Colonel Cook, is going to be accepting his award. Lieutenant Colonel William W. Hanson. Lieutenant Colonel Hanson was commissioned into the U.S. Army as an armor officer in August 1963 after graduating from OCS. His most notable experience includes being a first lieutenant with the 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment in Vietnam, earning a Silver Star for Valor in Combat in November 1968, and another in December of the same year. Following his field assignments, Lieutenant Colonel Hanson took on various instructional and leadership roles, including commander for the S4 for the SVC battery for the 115th Field Artillery Battalion, senior tactical officer at the Tennessee Military Academy, and squadron commander of the 278th Armored Cavalry Regiment. He was appointed the 230th Army Liaison Team, serving as the U.S. Army Liaison Officer to the International Security Assistance Force in Kabul, Afghanistan. His military decorations include Silver Star, Legion of Merit, with an Oak Leaf Flusher, Bronze Star Meritorious, NATO Medal, and both the Global War on Terrorism Service and Expeditionary Medal, Purple Heart. We're on the wrong one. It is the right one, sorry. For Lieutenant Colonel Hanson. Yes.
Silver Star with Oak Leaf Cluster, is that correct? Yeah, the Silver Star with Oak Leaf Cluster.
Lieutenant Colonel Robin K. Miller. Lieutenant Colonel Robin K. Miller was commissioned as an infantry officer upon graduation from Infantry OCS Class 361 on June 26, 1961. While serving with the 114th Assault Helicopter Company, 13th Combat Aviation Battalion, 164th Combat Aviation Group, 1st Aviation Brigade, Captain Miller displayed exceptional valor in December 8, 1967, leading an armed helicopter platoon supporting Vietnamese infantrymen. His aircraft sustained heavy damage from ground fire. Undeterred, he secured another aircraft and returning to the scene, making repeated passes over enemy positions to draw fire away from the rescue operation. He then landed and illuminated the area with all his ship lights, guiding evacuation craft to the pickup point. His courageous actions and contribution significantly helped to defeat the enemy and saving numerous lives. His most notable awards include the Distinguished Service Cross, Silver Star Medal, one with Oak Leaf Flusher, Distinguished Flying Cross with 3 Oak Leaf Flushers, Purple Heart and with 2 Oak Leaf Flushers, and the Air Medal with 3 Oak Leaf Flushers. Lieutenant Colonel William R. Williams, Jr. Lieutenant Colonel William R. Williams, Jr. was commissioned as an infantry officer upon graduation.
This is Colonel Reale.
Lieutenant Colonel Joseph J. Reale, Sr. Lieutenant Colonel Reale, Sr. military career began when he commissioned as a field artillery officer from the Empire State Military Academy, OCS. He held various positions at the New York National Guard Field Artillery Units and the U.S. Army Reserve, including Battalion S3 and the Command and General Staff School instructor. His military education includes completion of the Field Artillery Officer Basic and Advanced courses, Command and General Staff College, and other specialized courses. Among his military awards are the Meritorious Service Medal, Army Commendation Medal with 2 oak leaf clusters, and the Honorable Order of the St. Barbara. He also had received civilian awards for his volunteerism, including the Distinguished Service Medal from the 11th Marine Corps District and the recognition from the town of Hempstead for Nassau County for his service for the veterans. Lieutenant Colonel William R. Williams, Jr. Lieutenant Colonel William R. Williams, Jr. was commissioned as an infantry officer upon graduation from Infantry OCS Class 268-43 on July 12, 1943. While serving as the battalion advisor to the Republic of Korea Army on July 31, 1950, then Captain Williams displayed exceptional courage and leadership under heavy enemy fire. When the battalion's attack was halted by a numerical superior enemy fire, Captain Williams acted promptly to reorganize and reestablish the unit's line. Despite the intense enemy fire, he courageously directed artillery fire on the enemy's position, exposing himself to the enemy sniper, and courageously and artillery fire without regard to his personal safety. He eliminated the enemy forward observation post and silenced the enemy artillery fire. Captain Williams' bravery continued as he secured the .50 caliber machine gun, and with 2 ammunition bearers attacked the enemy group with a machine gun fire for 45 minutes. Dispersing the enemy and allowing the Republic of Korea company to secure its objective. Among his major military awards and badges of the Distinguished Service Cross, Silver Star, Bronze Star with an oak leaf cluster, Purple Heart with an oak leaf cluster, Army Commendation Medal with an oak leaf cluster, Combat Infantryman Badge with star, and Senior Parachutist Badge with bronze stars. All right, so this includes the induction ceremony for the OCS Hall of Fame 2024. We would also like to recognize Lieutenant Colonel Wilford Garvin and Colonel Frank Harmon and Colonel Neil Myers for their assistance in the memorable event. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise and join us in the singing of the OCS alma mater and remain standing for the Army song and the departure of the official party.